Healing Light takes you on a journey where you'll explore the nuances of energy. You'll visit the angelic realms and study the ancient wisdom and teachings of spirituality. We want you to reach within and discover the magnificent being that you came here to be. We help shine God's divine healing light by bringing love, light, and blessings into your world. And now, here is the host of Healing Light, Terry Van Horn.
Being here with us. I really do appreciate you guys. And I know that some people in the country are not having great weather, but let me tell you something. This is like the most amazing winter we've ever had here in kind of central Texas. So I want to thank God and the angels for that too, because it has been incredible. Some gorgeous, gorgeous sunny days lately. I also want to thank the wonderful team at OMTimes Radio for giving me this opportunity to share these messages with you. These messages aren't always from me. They're usually from the angels. And it's like I come up with the topics, or maybe they do too. And then, the rest of it just happens. So I appreciate the opportunity to have this so that I can share this with you. Now, I have been called a lot of things, but one of them has been a spiritual mentor, and I think I'll stick with that one. But I'm also a master healer as far as with Reiki, many, many different types of Reiki, as well as being a teacher with energy healing. I also do some fun things with etheric surgery. I love playing with energy. One of the things that I really specialize with it is with distant healing, with color, crystal, and vibrational healing. And then I also do intuitive readings and counseling. So if you are interested in any of those services, or you just want to know a little bit more about me, you can find me on my website, which is healinglightonline.com, or you can find me on Facebook, and the keywords are Healing Light Online. Now, I'm also starting a whole new venture of excitement, and it is going to be online classes. I am going to do these by video, and it's going to be fun. I'm really going to have a great time with it. I am already just pumped. I've got some great topics. You can find info also on healinglightonline.com for that. Also, the new website is called Healing Light Spiritual Academy. So if you have ideas and suggestions for this, let me know what you're interested in, and we'll go and do courses and things like that with it. So I love having this opportunity to share, and I've had a great time sharing with the radio programs as well as in my books and on Facebook and everything, and then teaching classes and doing talks in person. But I think this whole video thing is going to be a tremendous amount of fun. So I am going to stay here on the radio as well. So you'll get to hear me in a couple of different ways. Now, today we're going to talk about angelic magic. Now, I will be honest with you and tell you that I have never heard of angelic magic. But I had just finished, I don't know, like maybe the fourth or fifth book. And all of a sudden, I was thinking about new topics, new titles, new things to kind of focus on for the next book. And all of a sudden, the words angelic magic came up. I talked to a couple of friends, and they were like, okay, and what is that? And I said, I really don't know. But we're going to find out. Now, to be honest, I have not written this book yet. There's some things that kind of like go back and forth with it, and it's just not time. That's like the most honest answer I can give you is that it's not time. Now, the way I feel about things is that when I get these messages, what I do is I ask my angels for more details, or I ask them to provide me with the information that I need. And then, of course, I go to my other guide, Google, and I started looking up things like angelic magic. And, it's like sometimes if I go and read some things, then the information starts kicking in. I'm more of an interaction person. I don't just sit there and all of a sudden in profound silence start getting, volumes of information. I need that interaction a little bit to just kick that energy off, and then I go. So I found some things, and I thought it was really interesting because some of the things that I found, I immediately rejected as being, no, this is not right. And then other things prompted me to add more information to it. So this is still a work in progress, but it's something that I just felt like the time was right to share it with you. And, I would like to get some input back from you about this class and about this information. So let's talk about it. Now, like I said, I've never heard of it until a couple of years ago, and it just hit me. But once I started doing my research and checking things out a little bit, I realized that angelic magic has really existed since the beginning of time. You see, God sent his angels to be messengers and to work directly with us because we cannot tolerate the voice of God. It is so high vibrational. It is so powerful that, our puny little bodies here just can't take it. So he sent us the angels instead. Now, sometimes the angels will come in and they'll be like so powerful that, you feel like you're being knocked over. But, this is why he sends them, because we just can't handle it with him right now. And that's okay. Our time's coming. But you see, what happened was that as soon as humanity became aware of these angelic messengers from God, then, man wanted to harness their power, in a sense, to help assist with daily life. Okay, the intent is good, maybe not the phrasing of this, okay? We do want to work with the energy and the power of the angels. And we have that information, we have that ability. But as far as harnessing their power, to me, that sounds a little bit like we're kind of restraining and confining our angels for our own nefarious purposes. But, this was a way that people chose to do it in another time period. Now, there's nothing pagan about it. There's nothing dark about it. Actually, I feel that most people who did this and, worked with this, it was very, very widespread, that it's something that people who believed in God, that was the number one thing. You got to believe in God. You have to believe that he sent us these angels to work with, and then you kind of go from there. So they started doing different ways that were a little bit more formal to work with the angels. Now, we get assistance from our angels all the time, but generally what we do is that we ask for their assistance and their blessings. But we do it, and here's the part with the semantics makes a big difference. We do it by evocation or invocation. Now, an evocation is a special ritual that can use a lot of different tools to invoke a physical appearance or a manifestation of an angel. Now, usually, people use something like sage or incense, candles, herbs, sacred circles. They can use crystals, all sorts of things like that. Now, depending on the ritual that's being used and what they're doing, they can also pull in the energy or the representatives of the elements. That is earth, fire, water, and air. And of course, I work with a group of beings that are called the fifth element because the fifth element is love. So, you can incorporate all of these elements in it. You can use feathers for air. You can use sand or dirt for earth. You can use a candle for fire. And you can use a cup of water for water. And so as you're doing this, with this ceremony sort of thing that you'd be working with, you're actually bringing in the nature and the earth energies as well as those of the angels. Now, in other programs, we've talked about angels, and there are special angels that are all about nature and earth. Those are what many refer to as fairies. They're the elementals, and that's what they work with exclusively, is with nature. So that's really what we're doing here, is that we're calling in the traditional angels, and the archangels, as well as the elementals. Now, that's an evocation. Now, an invocation is, all about statements. We're using the energy of sound and the voice. This is where we're able to proclaim our need for assistance. Now, sometimes people will even use decrees, and saying, I call on you to assist me with this. Now, it's also partially prayer because, that in itself is an invocation, or in some cases, it can be a decree. We're going to talk a little bit more about this in a little bit, and also talk about how we can call in the angels with angelic magic.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hi, this is Angela Levesque, host of Entanglement Radio. Join me Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern for inspiring conversations with visionaries in spiritual science and conscious healing. Entanglement Radio, Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Transcendent talk for the conscious mind.
The name is Bond. James Bond.
No, the name is Joe. The Joe Show. And we are returning back for our 9th season here on OMTimes Radio. So tune in every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, on OMTimes.com/mobile. You can take us wherever you go. Yeah!
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM radio network.
This is Terry Van Horn, and you're listening to Healing Light. Tonight, we're talking about angelic magic. Now, these two words can really get some people in an uproar. So let's straighten that part of this out now before we get any further on more of the information. Everybody in every religion agrees that angels are around us. So that part, all good. Some people get a little nervous because they think that whenever you're asking angels for assistance, that you're praying to them and conveying their power to God, which is totally not true. Basically, God set up a system, and this is the way we go through the system. So, we work with it. Now, that word magic, good Lord, that really gets some people going. Now, you can think of magic as being something really dangerous or dark or a sin, or, you can think of, the old haggard witches sitting around a cauldron and throwing animal parts into it and reciting spells, or someone doing something really dark and injuring and hurting someone. But, I have learned after getting to know some people who do this that it's really not like that. And it's not bad at all. But you see, what happens is that when you combine angels and magic, something different happens. And that's what we need to really kind of get past with some people. Because we have to get them past that word magic. Because if all they're thinking about is all the little witches on Halloween Eve, then, they're totally going the wrong direction. See, I see magic as something different. I see something that is a way to share the light. And my best example is, look at the face of a child on Christmas morning. If that's not magic, that is magical. That is beautiful. It is pure. It is energy and it is love. Now, I can't find anything wrong with any of those descriptions or words. So whenever I say, let's put some magic into your life, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this beautiful, pure love, happiness, joy. That's what we need to do. And what happens, though, that, people kind of get these words all convoluted and they come up with their own interpretation, and then we're supposed to all agree with what they think. And that's not really the case. When it comes down to it, calling on and working with the angels is one of the highest callings that we have here as humans. Anything that we do with the angels is not going to be harmful to someone else. The angels only work with love and light. They also will not allow anything bad to happen to somebody else. If I go and ask them for $1 million and a massive, spectacular house high up on a hill, they're not going to go down and take money out of somebody's account and put it in mine, and they're not going to kick somebody out of their house so that I can move into it. That's not the way this works. That's not the way your angels work. They don't allow bad things to happen to people. Now, people do have free will. So don't blame a human's free will on the angels or on God. We have a choice. Now, we know that, most people want to incorporate God and the angels and spirituality and all of this into their lives. And one way to do it is to have a ritual practice. And when you do that, then it gives you a little bit more structure. And it helps you so that you can call in and work with your angels in a way that we're meant to. In the ancient religions, they were very structured, but it's all a lot looser now. One thing that you can say about Islam, and I have said it many, many times, and I will continue to say it, is that, I may not agree with their beliefs, but I do admire their dedication in the fact that they very specifically stop what they're doing and pray certain times a day. How many of the rest of us do that? I fall very short. So, we need to look at these things in a different way. So don't get hung up on the words. See, the most important thing about angelic magic is that spiritual connection that we have with our angels and working with them. When we work with the angels and their energies every day, we're going to make huge improvements in our life. And that is going to help us so that we can have a really positive effect on everybody else. But as I said, it's not going to just shift something and take something away from somebody else. It's not going to help us get those things that are unattainable. It's not going to take that billion-dollar lottery ticket away from those winners and give it to me. We're not going to wake up in the morning and find a literal money tree in the backyard. There are some things that, as much as I'd like for them to happen, they're just not. But you see, when we work with the angelic energies, then we're able to connect with the angels much more quickly and much more often. When we do that, we can receive their guidance more and act on it. They are messengers of God, and we have to remember that. That is their job, and we have to let them do their job. They bring us messages all the time. Sometimes we see them, but most of the time we don't. And, when they do bring those messages in, we need to pay attention and not just say, well, it was a coincidence, because there's no such thing as a coincidence. Our angels are around us all the time. They want to help us. We have that free will thing going on, so they can't jump in the middle. So we need to work with them. And we need to allow them to deliver those messages from Spirit. Their job's to help make our lives better and help us to reconnect with Source. Because we have that separation with God, and that's what they're supposed to do. Now, part of angelic magic is setting down, and creating a ritual that works for you to connect with your angels. Now, one thing that works really well for this is creating an altar. We're not worshiping the stuff on the altar. So, don't worry about that. We're not talking about that. We create an altar, which is just a special sacred place. I have this little antique table, and I have special stones that I like. Some are carvings. Some are just unique, something that I have a connection with. I have dried roses. I have a candle. There are just different things. Prayer beads are another thing that are on it. And then I have a couple of images of angels. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm over here, doing some kind of, strange things or worshiping the angels or the stones or anything else. For me, that altar is a reminder, a physical reminder that says, Terry, take a minute and let's connect. So even if you use it for that, it's wonderful, because that's helping you to have a space to connect with the angels and with God so that you can get reconnected with Spirit. And then as you do that, you're going to have a better connection with God and the angels. You're going to be a great deal more intuitive. And you're going to be able to get those messages that you keep looking for. But you have to have faith, intention, and determination. And you need to do it consistently. That's where most of us fall apart. Now, you don't have to know anything about energy work. You don't have to know anything about what is considered to be like traditional magic to do this. Again, you're not going to cause harm. This is all about connecting with love and light, connecting with your angels, and being aware when they are around to help you. That's the other big thing, because this is going to help you bring them around. If you've got a cat, your cat is going to start acting really weird because your cat will see them. Same thing with the dog. Dogs are just more laid back. This will help you pull in the energies, also with your guardian angels, who are always here to help you. But you know, the altar is a great reminder to just come over here. Why don't you just sit down, light the candle, be in a peaceful place, say your prayer, and listen. You know, maybe have some nice music on. It's your time to listen and connect with God and the angels. Now, there's nothing negative about that. And if you need that physical reminder of an altar, then go for it. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, people throughout humanity have had little altars. People still do, where it's just a place where they stop and pray. It's like a sacred space in their home. But when you do that, you're going to start really connecting with your angels much, much more clearly. But you see, all of this helps us so that we can create an intention. And when we do that, you know, with the intention, I'm going to connect with them today, right here. I'm going to do this every day at 10 o'clock in the morning. Then it starts turning into a habit, which is a great habit. You know, we always have the ones that we want to break. Well, this is a good one, so we got to go for it. But, you know, this is our way to really focus and have intention. Because we have that altar setting there, we have our favorite things on it, and whatever you want to put on it is fine. You know, even if you're only comfortable with putting a candle and a Bible, great. Whatever makes it right and perfect for you. So when we get back, we're going to talk about a little bit more about what to do as we sit at our altar with the angels. So we'll be right back in a moment.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM radio network.
OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
Hello, I'm Miriam Knight of New Consciousness Review, inviting you to my new show where I interview the rising stars of the conscious awakening. We'll explore the many faces of consciousness in action and intriguing perspectives on life, the universe, and everything in between. Join us each Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern on the Rising Stars Show.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Talking about angelic magic. And it's very different from what you originally may have thought it was when we first started. Now, let's talk about one of the really important aspects of doing this. And that is our thought forms and intentions. Without intentions, everything is basically nothing. See, what happens is when we concentrate our thoughts, then we're able to draw psychic energy together. Okay, we're pulling it in. Now, that's called a thought form. Now, if you do this and you're really thinking and focusing on something, the more intent you are on focusing in on it, the more you're going to create it, even if it is an elephant standing in your living room. Now, I've never heard of anyone actually ending up with the elephant in the living room, but I'm sure that eventually I will. But see, what happens is that as soon as we break our concentration, that energy will just dissipate. So, we can concentrate it and bring it in this way and carry on and produce very strong thought forms. Because a thought form is basically a vortex of energy. Now, a vortex is where you're just pulling in that energy. And it's not necessarily positive. It's not necessarily negative. It's what we do with it. But it's very strong and very powerful. So we can bring it and actually create a vortex where we're bringing in those things that we most want directly to us. Now, these thought forms and vortexes, they can exist really kind of by themselves for a while, but they're really, inanimate. They need us to help them stay. So if you're thinking about that elephant in the living room right now, once we shift to something else and you start thinking about something else, it's going to go away so that you don't have the elephant there. It doesn't just continue on with the same process. You have to make that happen. And the way to do it is through directed attention. Now, our mind follows our intention. So wherever we direct our attention to, that's where our thoughts are going to go. And when we direct it in a specific place, that's where we're focusing our mental and physical and emotional energy. It all goes there. So it starts getting really powerful. Now, I have a great analogy for you with this. You're going to love this. Think about you're in the middle of a restaurant. And it's pretty crowded. There are people like at every table. And yeah, it's not like screaming loud, but you got this constant hum going on, with all the people in this room. Now, you look across the room and you see somebody. And you kind of focus on this person because maybe they remind you of somebody, or you've seen them before, you're trying to remember their name, whatever. But you're really focused on this one person. That person maybe drops something. Maybe they drop their fork and it clangs on the table. You're going to hear it very clearly because you're focusing on that person. If you had not focused and kind of lasered in on that person, you would have never heard it. So it's where your attention goes. It was really strange because as, a teenager in middle school, high school, I always sang in a choir and in a singing group. And so I liked listening to singing groups, and even, like kids that are, going through the choirs and things like that in our community. Sometimes I'll listen to their concerts. But it's interesting because if I focus on one particular person in that group, which can be, 50 to 100 people, that one person's voice is going to stand out to me. It happens to everybody. If you're focusing on it, you're giving somebody laser focus. That's what you're going to hear. That's what you're going to connect with. So that's how powerful our focus is. because I doubt that anybody else in the room would have heard that person drop their fork. And it's strange, it's unusual, but that's the way our mind and our energy work. They're incredibly powerful. Now, one thing that you can do with Angelic Magic is work with candles. And it's called candle magic. Now, this can be used for good things or it can be used for bad things. We're not focusing on anything that's bad. We're going to focus on something that is positive, loving, and nurturing. Now, people have been practicing candle magic since, forever. And it's a very, very powerful form of what's called sympathetic magic, which is, we're bringing in love. We're bringing in light. We're bringing in healing. It's good, positive, loving intentions. Now, as we do this, there are a lot of factors in play whenever you are working with candle magic. So it does have to be repeated sometimes. So you place your candle in a place that it cannot be disturbed. Now, I do this a lot. And it really amazes me because I have played around with it to see if the results were my imagination or if the results were real. Now, I always use the candles that are intended to be like prayer candles. They're not very expensive. They usually have a fairly heavy glass that they're in. And so I keep them in a place where they're not going to get bumped. They're not going to get hit. Nobody's going to be around them. And it just burns. And that's, sitting on my desk. Now, what are the things that actually make candle magic work? One is sincerity. Your angels really want to help. They want us to be successful and happy and peaceful and have a perfect life. So when we approach them with this, it is with all sincerity. Now, of course, intention, always a big one. And for us, it is not forcing anything on anyone. Our wishes all have to have good moral intentions and ethics. Okay, concentration. We're going to concentrate and focus on these candles and what we're asking for. Candle flames are like the best way to meditate because you just sit there and relax your eyes and just watch the flame. That can put you in a meditation immediately, even if you can't shut your brain off. And then, of course, there's always belief and faith that what you ask for will be received or something better. Now, people use all sorts of different candles. I told you what I use, what I prefer. I feel like that they're safer. It doesn't matter if I am spending, $200 on a pillar candle, which I think is insane, or I'm buying one that, I can go and get them for $1. Doesn't matter. Candle's a candle is a candle. So the main thing is that you're using one that is brand new, that nobody else has used, so that you're not picking up somebody else's energy and using it. Now, how does this work? For me, and for what I do, it's really amazing. I have an affirmation that I say whenever I do this. Now, my candle is usually for abundance and prosperity for our family and our loved ones. Now, it's been amazing because if I go and say the affirmation in the morning, and don't light a candle, then, things go along their way. But if I go and light the candle while saying the affirmation, asking the angels for assistance, and then keep the candle burning as long as it's safe. If you're leaving home for 3 days, you don't leave it burning. But we keep it burning. And every day, or at least several times a day, I'll look at the flame, get into that relaxed state, and say the affirmation again. It makes a huge difference. I have to say that the amount of people that I'm able to reach and the amount of clients that I get are almost doubled whenever I do this. Now, you can say that it's superstition. You can say that I'm crazy. It doesn't really matter. I know that it works. Now, it's really very, very simple because you're not having to do anything totally bizarre or outrageous. That's all I do is just I say the prayer and, do the affirmations. Now, a lot of times people refer to a prayer as being a way of unburdening your soul. I always say prayer is me talking nonstop to God. Meditation is getting God's answers. So when we're doing this with the candle, what we're doing is we're directing our thoughts and our intentions to connect with the angels and let them know what it is that we need assistance with. It's almost like a direct line of communicating with the archangels and letting them communicate with us. So this is very simple. We're not biting the heads off of chickens. We're not doing anything weird. It's a matter of doing the prayer, the affirmations, and lighting the candle. How simple is that? You've all done candle magic. Every single person has done candle magic. Now, how? I'll tell you when we get back. But trust me, you've been doing candle magic for a long, long time. You just weren't aware of it.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
This is Terry Van Horn, and you're listening to Healing Light. Tonight, we're talking about angelic magic. And there are a lot of different forms of angelic magic, and we can definitely explore others, down the road. But tonight, we're talking about candle magic or candle rituals. And the last thing I said before the break was that we all have done candle magic. Now, you're sitting there thinking, oh, no, I haven't. I've never done that. Well, you started doing candle magic when you were about 2 years old. You had candles on your birthday cake. And you had to make a wish and hold on to that wish and then blow your candles out. Now, just doing that little thing really represents the three major principles of candle magic. That is concentration, willpower, and visualization. So if you really wanted your wish to come true, you had to concentrate and you had to really focus on what you wanted. And then you blew out the candles, knowing that that wish and that hope was going to come true. So you see, that is just a very small one. Very, very small way of doing candle magic. You've also heard millions of people, actually billions of people throughout humanity have always said, you know, when they do a prayer, or if something as bad is happening to someone and they're asking for prayers, people will say, I will light a candle for you. That comes from the Catholic Church, where you go in and you do a prayer at an altar, and there are all these candles there, and you light a candle as you pray. That's another way of doing candle magic. See, it's really not all that dark, scary stuff. Now, when you're doing it on the altar, you can have one or two. And then, you know, a great thing to do is use an image that really represents something special for you on a spiritual level. Now, in the Catholic Church, usually it's a figure or statue of Mother Mary. Because they light the prayers, they call on Mother Mary, and then she goes and intercedes for them with God. Just like all of the angels. She is an angel. So you see, that's one of the things that we do. Now, generally, we're all using white candles whenever it comes to that. But there are different colors that you can use for different things. You can use the white candle for spirituality and peace. You can use a red one for health, energy, strength, courage. You know, being strong. You can use pink for love, affection, and romance. You can use yellow for being intellectual, using your imagination, stronger memory, or creativity. You can use green for fertility, abundance, good luck, and harmony. You can use blue for inspiration, wisdom, protection, and devotion, connecting to that ancient knowledge. We can use purple for wealth, higher psychic abilities, spiritual power, and idealism. We can use silver for clairvoyance, inspiration, astral energy, and intuition. And we can use orange for ambition, career, and anything that is legal. Now, also with all these colors that I just, talked about, that's your chakras. So each one can really kind of correspond with the chakras and that chakra energy, which is another really awesome thing. So they do help us connect in different ways. And, generally I go with white ones because it's easier and, because I'm also doing a lot of other things. And I keep the candles burning because, there's always been, as long as I can remember, and everybody that I have known, that when you have candles burning, you're drawing the angels near to you, which is wonderful. I mean, that's a beautiful, beautiful tradition and belief. So you're bringing them to the light to ask them to help you. Now, there are a lot of things that you can do with candles and fire. not anything destructive. But, if you have a certain desire, a certain wish, you can write it down on a little piece of paper. Touch it to that candle and let it burn and release it to the angels. Now, when you do that, that's part of the total releasing, letting go of everything that you need to do so that your angels can take care of it for you. That part's really kind of important. But there are a lot of things that you can do just by letting go. Or, a friend of mine was telling me the other day that she was going to do a burning bowl ritual where she was writing down different things that she needed to let go of and that she wanted to change in her life. And then she was going to burn it to release it to the angels and God. I thought that was a beautiful way to do it. I've done that before. Whenever I want to release something special or to ask for something special, then I would do that. And in my case, I would go outside in the evenings and look up at the stars, have a little chat with the angels, let them know about what it is that I want and need, and then I burn it. The smoke goes up into the heavens for the angels. The ashes go into the ground to be transmuted into nurturing soil for plants. So, think about it from that aspect. We can and we all do different forms of angel magic. So, let me give you a quick rundown of kind of what to do for this. So, you light your candle. I always do it with a prayer. Just asking the angels to help me and then telling them what it is that I need. And then can just look into the flame and just kind of, very soft eyes. Don't just get right in there and focus on it. And you can close your eyes once you're getting really relaxed and just letting go. And as you do that, then you call in your angels and ask them to be there for you and to help you with whatever the situation is. There is nothing too big or too small that we can't ask our angels to help us with. And then we just listen for the answers. It may not come in, booming in immediately, but it will. It will eventually. But I can guarantee you that you will never get the message if you don't sit there and give it the opportunity to come to you. That's one thing that I can promise you. Now, if you listen to some music, preferably instrumentals, that really helps. The other thing is to try not to have a lot of distractions and try not to be too sleepy whenever you do it because you just fall asleep, which I am an expert at. I'll constantly fall asleep on meditation. But in discussing it with someone who is a really kind of an expert on meditation, he was like, so you're so relaxed and you're so at peace that you just float away? He said, that's a beautiful thing. I said, it's all how you look at it and your perspective, how you're thinking of it. So do this. You can visualize a bridge or a staircase or walking up or down a hill because you're transforming from one level to the other. Okay, you're going to transition. Or you walk down a hallway and then you're going to open a door to go into another area. Ask your angels or your guides to be there for you. Whenever you get to the top or the bottom of the stairs or the hill or once you open the door, ask them to be there for you and to help you and provide you with that information and those messages that you most need. And then just listen. Just stay in that state. Even if you don't always get your answer immediately, you're going to get something. That's the main thing. You are going to get something. And you just have to give it a chance to come through. And then, I've been told over and over again by the most wonderful people and the people who are the most inspirational to me, including, Darlene Virtue, Bradley Valentine, John Holland, Anita Morjani. The trick is you got to believe. You just have to believe and know. And when you do get that information from them, you have to act. Because if you don't act, they're going to get tired of talking to you and telling you what to do and then listening to you complain because nothing's happening. Okay? If you don't act on what they're telling you, they will stop. Just because they don't want to hear it anymore. It's like, I've given you everything you need. You're not listening to me. You're not doing this. So eventually, yeah, it'll fade out. But if you stay up with it and work with them and listen, they will be there for you. So thanks for being with me tonight. Next Wednesday, we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about psychic protection. So this is Terry Van Horn, and I want to wish you much love, light, and many, many blessings. Namaste.